If you've been in Sunday school more than a day in your life, you've heard the story of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10. I think there is a whole lot of good that can come out of that parable in our culture right now today. If you remember the story, Jesus gets cornered by this Jewish expert in the law right after he tells this story of the Good Samaritan, which is pretty simple. It's a guy who's on his way from Jericho to Jerusalem. He's got a pocket full of money because it's time to bring your offering to the temple in Jerusalem. So that's what he's doing. And he's on that road. He gets jumped by some guys in a cave, and they take his money and they beat him to within an inch of his life and leave him half dead by the side of the road. A little bit later, a Jewish priest goes by and looks across the road, sees the dude bleeding out on the street, keeps on going, doesn't even stop. A little bit later, a Levite, who's another church guy, looks across the street, sees the wounded man. Bible says he walked by on the other side of the road. Then this third guy shows up, and he's a Samaritan. That's why it's called the Good Samaritan. The dude from Samaria shows up, sees the guy laying by the side of the road. The Bible says he goes over to him, he dresses his wounds, he binds up his wounds, he puts oil and wine on them, he puts him on his donkey, he takes him to a hotel, and he basically tells the innkeeper, hey, run a tab, I'm good for it, you take care of this guy, it's all fine and good, just make sure he gets better, and then off he goes. At the end of the parable, Jesus asked the expert in the law a very simple question. Who do you think of these three was the neighbor to the wounded man? Now, this had to be a very difficult moment for the expert in the law because of one simple fact. Jews never spoke out loud about Samaritans. They couldn't even say the word Samaria. In fact, if they had to go to the other side of Samaria, they walked around it so they wouldn't get any Samaritan dirt on their sandals or on their feet. That's how Jews viewed people from Samaria. They were no better than a dog. Didn't talk about them ever. So when Jesus posed this question to the expert, he couldn't even say Samaritan. He said, the one who had mercy on him. Now, he could have said priest, he could have said Levite, but he could not say Samaria or Samaritan, so he said, the one who had mercy on him. You know, the one thing the parable doesn't tell us? The parable doesn't tell us whether the wounded man was a Jew or a Samaritan. And you know what? It didn't even matter to the Samaritan. You don't think Samaritans knew how the Jews felt about him? I mean, they had to know that the Jews hated them. Yet when he saw that man by the side of the road, all he saw was a man. He had compassion. He ran to his rescue. He bound up his wounds and he took care of him. Did not ever once think whether he was one of them or one of me. He just saw someone wounded and had compassion on them. We could learn a lot from that in the culture that we're in today. Every one of us should be just like that Good Samaritan. It doesn't matter if they're one of us or one of them. We just have compassion and we serve.